So if you like to hear any lore, and I mean any lore whatsoever, consider checking out the Patreon, because even at the $1 tier, your voice is heard weekly when I ask a poll question, and the winner of the poll is this week's lore. So this week's lore, by way of Patreon, the Ghoulman Entertainment Patreon, I bring to you Swan from Fallout 4. Swan, a behemoth mini-boss from Fallout 4 that you can find in Swan's Pond, in the Commonwealth, in the Boston Common, in the Commonwealth, in the year 2287. He's born originally Edgar Swan, a low-level Institute worker. He stole some cigarettes and was given probation in lieu of jail time, in lieu of getting any sort of a fine. He would be kept out of prison as long as he went through this probation. That was essentially an experiment done on him. He was to be given all the food, all the water, all the shelter that a man would need, as long as he would sit in complete isolation and journal every single day. What he didn't know is that he was infected with FEV and was going to be observed by Institute scientists. Experiment J32, Day 1. So I nipped a few cigs. Big deal. Smartasses may run the place, but they can't just do whatever they want. I got rights. Trial worked for me in the end. They agreed to probation. I stay inside for a month, write something every day. They'll bring me all the food and water I want. They think this is punishment? Sure beats scrubbing floors all day. By day 6 of the experiment, he knew the scientists were observing him and had messed with him in some capacity. He wasn't sure how yet, but he knew that his body was beginning to change because of the scientists. His body ached, he was jittery, and his mind was racing. Experiment J-32 Day 6 should have known something was wrong when they came back with more tests. Every bone in my body aches. I'm on edge all the time, jittery, can barely write, but my mind's racing. Damn it, what's going on? What have they done to me? By 2 weeks into this experiment, Edgar Swan was better by every single account. The FEV was finally starting to take its toll, and he had increased in muscle mass and mental capacity. His intelligence, he became stronger, and he became stronger. He became smarter, and he became stronger. It was exactly what FEV was supposed to do. Everything that FEV was supposed to do was supposed to be making these super soldiers. All of that had worked perfectly in Swan while in the Institute while they were messing with him. He was completely aware at this point of the experiment, but he was reluctant to speak to any of the scientists about it. From his daily log, experiment J-32 Day 14, my psychological evolution seems to have stabilized. The medical team says my muscle mass has more than tripled since the experiment began, and my neural efficiency has improved markedly. The particular strain of modified FEV has been a remarkable success. I appear to have received all of the anticipated benefits without the typical adverse effects. My application to join the research team is awaiting the director's approval, although further tests may be in order. I hope to be able to assist with my own experiment in the coming days. By the 3rd week, 21 days in, most of this had reverted at this point. He was starting to slowly decline in health, in mental capacity. His strain of FEV was unstable. His overall health started to decline. Week 3 is when the seizure started. So now he's this giant hulking mass of a man who was a superhuman for just a moment and is now seizing out in a small room by himself, scared and alone. He begins to question his fate and fears exile from the Institute like the other experiments. Experiment J-32 Day 21. Seizures continue. After the second one this morning, I was ordered back into the observation lab for further study. My prognosis is poor. I made the discovery myself. The viral strain I was infected with is fundamentally unstable. My mental capacity peaked 2 days ago and has begun rapidly deteriorating. The seizures are just the beginning. Will they reject me like the others? And as you know, he's not in the Institute when you find him. He's in Swan's Pond. He has his own little piece of the Commonwealth. He has his own little piece of the Commonwealth for him to inhabit. And he is exiled and found his way to an abandoned park in the ruins of downtown Boston. He took the shack for himself and slowly lost his sanity inside it. Now, I grew up as a Simpsons fan. I don't know if this was supposed to be a Simpsons reference or not, but there is a note that you can find there that is just called Swan's Note in the little shack, a little strip of paper that's been ripped off that says on it, "You are Swan." All caps. I don't know if that's supposed to be a Simpsons reference or not to "You are Lisa Simpson." But it is a reminder of who he is as he lost his sanity. You are Swan. You are who you are. The FEV has nothing to do with who you are. It doesn't make you more or less of a human. You are Swan. Swan are you. And the fact that that's the only thing that Swan shouts when you see him other than yelling and grunts, I think says a lot in a very small way. It says who he is, who he was, and that part of him is still clinging on to that itsy bitsy tiny little piece of sanity. He would craft parts of the Swan boats and parts of the other things around the park into his makeshift armor. The sole survivor can ask Brian Virgil, "Do you remember Edgar Swan?" And Brian Virgil will respond with, "Swan? Yes, I saw his file. He was one of the first test subjects years ago. His mutations destabilize, started turning into a behemoth." And that's paraphrase. That's the end of the quote. He starts going into the idea of maybe Virgil, becoming a behemoth and how he wouldn't want to live a life like that. There's a bunch of wastelanders around that will say things about avoiding Swan's Pond or avoiding that area, not going near it, making sure that everything is safe, everything is stable, and letting other people know about it. Found northeast of Swan's Pond, there is a Raider's advice. It's a little note that says, "Still think you boys are out of your mind. You want to know how I do it? Head around the north side and rush the bandstand. Be quick, and you might be able to get some defenses up before he notices you. If you can hole up there, you might just have enough cover to outlast him. Whatever you do, do not go in the pond." There's a holotape that I'd like to play for you right now.
Lost them?
Yeah, we made it, Molly. We made it.
Why'd they let us go?
No, come on. Let's keep moving.
Wait, the Common. You've heard about the Common.
Oh, God. Mar, look out!
Another note that you could find on a dead raider is found up on Kath's body near Swan's Pond. It's no joke, Kath. He's out there. I've seen him. Tore Davy's head clean off. Boy never even got his gun out. Give up. Girl like you got a future with us. Don't throw it away for some fool dare. Swan is a character that is completely foreshadowing for what the Institute has the possibility to do. To just take and destroy and think, oh, well, what is a human life? We can just make another. We can just make another person there. I think it would be cool if you could find a Swan, an Edgar Swan out there somewhere in the Commonwealth that has all of the original Swan's memories up until the point that he was starting to be experimented on. If you listen to what Brian Virgil has to say, he says it as if it was years ago, so it's post-war. He is not born pre-war, even though the Institute has been working for over 200 years. He is something later down the line of experimenting with FEV. So you can see how this is just saying how the Institute is. The Institute just wants to take and experiment and destroy and not care about who it's going to affect from this perspective. And I think if you get there and you understand that, then you really, really have an understanding of what the Institute can be. Just some notes and fun facts for you. Because Swan has armor, he's one of the only behemoths, if not the only behemoth with armor on, he has a resistance to damage, energy, and poison. If you cripple one of his legs, it renders him useless and he cannot attack you, won't even throw things. If you're fighting raiders near the combat zone and their health gets to a certain low level, they'll start to retreat and yell, "I'll let Swan deal with you," and a variation of that. Swan's one of those characters that I remember finding really early on, and in my memory, he respawns. I don't know if he doesn't respawn. I was reading some Reddit posts, and it says that he doesn't respawn. In my memory, in my playthroughs, he came back. And I remember like, oh, that's kind of cool. Swan comes back. That means behemoths can come back. In the old games, in 3 in New Vegas, I don't think they're in New Vegas. They're not. In 3, if you kill a behemoth, that's it. You kill a behemoth and they're gone. In this one, they could come back, but apparently he can't. So the gameplay behind me might have Swan in it, might not have Swan in it. I don't know yet. I haven't recorded it. I hope you guys enjoy that. That's Swan, a character that you don't learn anything about until you've killed him. And there's a real gut punch to that. There's a real gut punch to learning that Swan was, all super mutants at one point were humans. But it's a real gut punch to realize, man, that dude genuinely was like a real dude who messed up once, and a small little thing that he messed up on ruined the rest of his life. Like I said, I hope you enjoyed. That is this week's lore on Swan. Hey everybody, wasn't that great? Didn't you enjoy that? A little bit of Fallout lore to start your day? Maybe midday Fallout lore? Hell, right before bedtime? Doesn't get any better than this. If you like this, check out the Patreon. There's a link in the description below. If you want to have your voice heard, if you want me to do a certain piece of lore, the best way to get in contact with me is through the Patreon. The people who are on screen right now, I gotta thank them. Thank you to these fine folks right now. Because of them, the show can continue to grow and get bigger and better. And if you want to check it out, from the $1 tier to the $10 tier, your voice is heard every single week. I filmed the full Atomic Radio Hour podcast episodes live in our Discord. Hey, you know what? While you're here, check out the Discord. There should be a link in the description below. Check out my Twitter. Check out the show's Twitter. Come hang out. It's a good time. My name has been Vince. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Thank you for supporting. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you to the Patreon. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.